My name is Nix. When I was younger, I encountered a spirit. A deadly spirit. The spirit of a strange animatronic bear that plagued my dreams. Now I travel the world in search of proof that the experience I had was real. This is Gooby Adventures. Warning, this episode will be disturbing to all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. I watched a lot of weird and bad movies this year. I mean, like, I saw The Boss Baby in the theater. Geez, that's like its own big can of worms, and we don't have time to get into that right now, but I saw The Boss Baby in the theater. We all on the same page. But none of that would prepare me for some of the weirdest, creepiest stuff I would ever see in a kid's movie, ever. Nothing could prepare me for Gooby.
I really kinda like that.
Or a Ted called Gooby, depending on where in the world you are. Not a great movie. The teddy bear, when comes to life, is
freaky looking.
Moved along at a slow pace, my 7-year-old lost interest tied away. My 2-year-old made it to the end and was a little freaked out. My children said they could make a better costume. Yes, I'm sure your stupid children could have done that. I had a hard time talking about this film with my daughter after we saw it. She was very upset and had difficulty figuring out what was happening. If Gooby was a bear, and why he let those children watch an R-rated movie, Goofy is a reprehensible, selfish character. This movie will mess with your kids. Who is in this Gooby suit? The box says it's Robbie Coltrane. Hagrid. Oh, Hagrid. But Hagrid wouldn't fit in there, so is it really him? Maybe it's no one and Gooby is just made up of leftover butcher's meat. Put the meat in the animatronic bear man.
So Gooby is a film directed by Wilson Conybeare. Yes, that's his name.
What is it with people with weird names?
I don't know, but the film does star Robbie Coltrane, yes, really, and Eugene Levy, yes, really.
Quite the cast.
The thing about Gooby is it's not like the worst movie ever, but it is really weird. That's what I seem to be about these days, and I think I've kind of accepted that.
I guess that's fine.
Gooby's just like an absurdist paradise of seemingly blatant but also esoteric imagery and just kind of general nonsense. It's kind of hard to determine what happens in Gooby. There are some grand themes to the film, but the fun lies in taking the film absolutely literally, because that's where all the weird is. Jokes aside, this movie is really bizarre and kind of fun and kind of lovable in that sort of way. We're gonna have a good time, except for at the end.
Oh God.
It's also horrifying. And, oh boy. We have quite the journey ahead of us, don't we?
Judging solely by the cover, we can assume that it's the whole children's story about the lovable weirdo that helps the protagonist, usually a kind of misplaced kid, accept himself and find his inner self-esteem. Or maybe it's the story of a murderous man inhabiting a bear suit so he can secretly get to all the children of the village. And in the end, he sheds his bear suit to reveal his bug exterior. But yeah, we're gonna go with the first one, and for the most part, that's true. But it is the absolute weirdest example of that sort of film. The basic story is about a young white boy named Gooby. No, I'm kidding. His name is Willie. I'm so sorry for that joke. But his name is Willie. Well, he has an overactive imagination, and when he moves into a new home, he's scared of these imaginary creatures that inhabit his mind prison. In his new house, he doesn't feel safe. At his school, everyone hates him, including his new teacher, played by Eugene Levy, who's basically a psychopath. His name is Nerdlinger. No, I am not shitting you. That's the truth.
Now, you would think that at some point our protagonist Willie would use his imagination powers to, you know, summon Gooby out of the muck to protect him from his evil imagination.
But no.
But no.
Gooby just sort of shows up and the monsters are never really mentioned again.
Gooby?
The rest of the movie is Willie and Gooby aimlessly doing weird stuff, farting around. And then it ends. Hooray.
Luckily, the film Gooby is so filled with constant surprises and just generally weird shit that it's pretty watchable. Also, you're constantly wondering, like, what the metaphor actually is, because it's not very clear.
So immediately you'll observe that Gooby is kinda scary as shit.
Gooby! Gooby!
Nightmare fuel of epic proportions. Willie doesn't think so, though. I guess he sees Gooby sort of like one would see a bulldog, you know? It's kind of cute in the ugliest kind of way. Looks like Gooby fell down one too many times. Looks a bit like Gooby had a dark past with terrible alcoholism that led to him getting into a bunch of bar fights. Also, he doesn't blink his eyes, so there's that too. But Willie doesn't care. He's so desperate for a friend that it doesn't matter if Gooby perhaps fell down the stairs and broke his eyes once upon a time.
The thing about Gooby is more in his character than it is, like, his appearance, but it's kind of undeniable that his appearance is rather haunting.
Well, like, I'm your friend, and I can't blink my eyes.
Well, anyways...
Besides Gooby looking like an animatronic from a Charles Entertainment cheese that someone spilled Coke all over, he's basically an anthropomorphic bear person that loves hot dogs, farts, getting confused and roaming around, screaming, and falling down and generally causing chaos. Look, I know I'm like stuck on this, but I have so much to say about Gooby's appearance and his character, and I can't stop. I'm sorry. You know that moment in The Shining? You know the one. You suppose Gooby was intended to look a bit like that? Cause he looks a lot like that.
Alright, we get it. Gooby looks weird.
Okay, I guess that's it.
The thing about Gooby is he's obviously a visual metaphor for something. Could be a lot of things, it's not entirely clear. Early on it seems that Gooby's meant to be like Willie's protector. He keeps the monsters away. He's like the lighter side of his creativity, maintaining his positivity, you know? But then later on it feels like Gooby might be a metaphor for Willie's emerging but repressed homosexuality. It has a lot in common with Nightmare on Elm Street 2 with how blunt that sort of thing is. Willie and Gooby get really close really fast, and he invites Gooby to come live in his house for a time, but his parents get really suspicious that something's going on, so he pushes Gooby into a closet to hide him from them.
What? Don't make a single sound.
That's a bitch.
Oh.
Look, I don't want to think that the film would handle this topic so bluntly either, but, like, I don't know.
Then later, Gooby and Willie are staying up late at night, and Gooby is just dumping wieners on his face.
I never did this before.
What? Never eat a hot dog?
Maybe he just likes hot dogs and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, come on.
Look, I don't know if that's what's going on, but I can speculate. God damn it.
Well, Gooby farts and we all laugh and that's that. But even further into the movie, it seems like Gooby is perhaps meant to be like a father figure.
I like being your dad.
Perhaps a foil to his otherwise preoccupied father, but the father really isn't all that established in the early parts of the film, so I can't be sure if that's really what was intended. But then, Gooby takes Willie and his friends to a really violent and gory movie on Halloween, and he helps them get tickets because he's an adult, I guess. They treat him like an adult. No one asks to see his face. Well, there's a bully that picks on Willie, so Gooby comes up and makes this nightmarish face to him. And the kid pees all over himself in the most pathetic and sad moment in the whole film.
Willie, the hot dog peed.
And Gooby, good old Gooby, just laughs at him. They all laugh at him. This lack of nuance and understanding in a children's movie is honestly kind of startling.
This brings up another weird thing about Gooby. He's real. Like, he interacts with the world. He really exists in the world.
Oh my.
So, like, Gooby interacts with the world and other people quite a bit. This movie makes a point that Willie is trying to suppress Gooby from being seen. He takes him places, but then they try to hide, sort of. On Halloween, everyone treats Gooby like he's any other person, or more importantly, Willie's super mean-spirited father. But he also goes to the grocery store and hangs out outside of the school waiting for Billy, and goes to the construction site, and yeah, he's a real thing somehow. I'm going to guess it was magic. Imagination magic. How he was created, we never know. I guess it was the power of Willie's imagination that did it. There's this whole side plot about Nerdlinger, Eugene Levy's character, trying to prove that Gooby exists as if we didn't already sort of know this or something. Nerdlinger's weird weird in that he just happens to be everywhere that Willy and Gooby are, and he just misses Gooby several times, and he sees Gooby but can't prove he's real with a photo or something. But like, why is he trying to prove that Gooby's real? To who? Why? I don't know. This all comes to head in a grocery store scene where Nerdlinger is looking for Gooby, and Gooby and Willy try to hide in this extended chase scene that runs for an entire length of a song.
It seems that no matter what information we get on the enigma that is Gooby, we never really come to understand who he is or how he interacts with the world. As much as this film may want him to be like the father figure or whatever, he's more of a child than Willy is.
He gets himself in like all the negligent hijinks that could totally undermine his existence, and an existence that he never even really questions. He just is. And he's hungry. He eats a whole lot and breaks in Willy's house to do so multiple times.
In theory, this is all supposed to come to a head at the end of the film, but, well,
It doesn't.
no. There's a lot of weird directions that the narrative takes in the second half, and it all feels like it's leading up to something, but really, the film just kind of spins its wheels. Like, the movie makes its point clear in theory, but like, in a way that makes you question like the rest of the movie.
So Willy's playing soccer, and the cinematic language of the scene makes us believe that Willy sustains a head injury. A ball falls on his head, and somehow this could endanger his life, but that's what's implied. It looks like he was hurt. Gooby, meanwhile, is trying to get his eat on in Willy's house, but there's a phone call and some ominous emergency, which Gooby and the audience is led to believe involves the head injury alluded to in the previous scene. So Gooby hides in Willy's father's vehicle, and they go. But it turns out it was an emergency at the construction site, so Gooby, who is very concerned about Willy's safety, just starts goofing off. He walks onto the construction site and just starts making an ass out of himself.
So in theory, the tension of this scene is like, is Gooby going to find Willy? And is Willy okay? Is everything going to be fine? Who knows? But watch carefully as they totally blow this moment.
Back at the house later on, Gooby and Willy just kind of meet up. Hello. So Willy was just fine and nothing happened at all, and Willy just went on about his day. And Gooby went off looking for him when there was really no danger. So Willy's super pissed off because Gooby was an idiot and went off and made an ass of himself all day.
Just this afternoon.
Since this afternoon?
Well, there was this thingamawat, and I had to jump, and then I landed in this goop, and then I cut my arm, and...
You're supposed to wait until I come out to the backyard.
Well, you don't come out to the backyard anymore.
But instead of coming to any sort of understanding, Willy just kind of tells him to go away, and then they break up.
Well, there's no such thing as hoodies, then maybe I should go.
Well, then maybe you should. Especially if all you're gonna do is cause trouble.
Yeah, well, maybe I will.
Good.
Good.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
So Gooby's gone, and Willy's alone. And then there's yet another long-winded music break while the characters just kind of wallow around for a little while. Everyone is sad today. Everybody's sad now. Look for my single on iTunes.
This is like the low point of the story, you know, where they realize that they need each other and all that stuff.
Yes, of course.
But not even this.
So totally unprompted, Gooby just comes back. Nothing had to happen. No decisions had to be made at all. Gooby just comes back. But he's like, hey kid, gotta show you a thing. So Willy leaves with Gooby and they go off into the night.
Uh-oh.
Ominous. Is it not?
Gooby takes Willy out to his dad's old house growing up. Now, what we know about his dad is essentially nothing, so this comes completely out of left field. We're supposed to come to some sort of understanding here, I think, but we really don't. The police and Willy's family go looking for Willy, who's been kidnapped by a strange man that looks like an animatronic from Charles Entertainment Cheese. That's really Chuck E. Cheese's name.
I can't reach you, Willie.
Gooby, go get out.
Through some convoluted events, Willy's father shows up to save Willy, who's going to fall into a hole. So then Willy reveals Gooby to his father, who seems to know who he is. It's not super clear what's happening, but something is happening. But Willy's father doesn't reject Gooby, and neither does Willy's mother.
But you gotta promise me that you're gonna stay calm. Willy?
There's somebody I want you to meet.
Hi.
They all just become friends. So they're all a big happy family together, and then they go to IKEA.
There you are, you crazy nut. This is my partner, folks. Rolly Fowler. We're promoting our new architecture firm, Dandridge, Fowler & Fowler.
I think it's assumed that what the film is saying here is that Gooby was a vessel to bring Willie together with his father, who experienced similar things but just lost touch somehow. I feel like I might be reaching with this a bit, but that's what seems to be going on in the end. The whole rest of this movie doesn't particularly serve this narrative, however, so it feels like it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
But back to this amazing thing that I totally skimmed over. Gooby went to IKEA.
Oh, Lord.
So now Gooby is basically out and proud and everyone's pretty cool with Gooby, just, being. Except for Nerdlinger, who is still everywhere. He sees Gooby at IKEA and starts to lose his mind, so he tries to buy a disposable camera as soon as he can. But because he's just terrible at stuff, he totally fails.
And the next thing that happens is the creepiest thing that's ever happened in the history of ever.
Oh.
So Gooby and Willie are outside and Gooby locks his gaze upon a little girl.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Gooby becomes obsessed with this little girl all of a sudden, and I think that it's supposed to be like, oh, that little girl needs me more than you need me now, Willie.
You said you're strong. That means I'm strong too.
So I'm gonna go help her. But it's so disastrously terrifying to watch. It's haunting because it feels so oddly disgusting. And he won't even connect with Willie anymore. He forgets that Willie's there altogether. And just like that, Gooby leaves Willie for the little girl.
I feel sick.
So Gooby turns back into a stuffed animal, and Willie, accepting, kind of just gives it to the little girl. Willie gets back in the car with his parents and says Gooby's gone. And just like that, this amazing manifestation of the child's disturbed imagination is gone.
Ah, the credits. My favorite part.
Oh my God.
Just kidding, there's more!
I think there's something positive to say about this film's sincerity, however. I mean, it takes a lot to look at all this absurdity and instead of laughing at any of it, take it extremely seriously and try to do something meaningful with it. And while it's really ineffectual and proved to mostly scare children half to death, I admire the willingness to do this seriously with real attempts at drama, even if it just completely fails. Oddly enough, the greatest thing in all of Gooby happens during the credits.
It's almost like I'm playing lost and found with you. I'm nobody when I'm not hanging around with you.
In a sequence definitely shadow directed by David Lynch, Gooby sings and dances, and Nerdlinger looks on.
Oh, gee. Well, I thought that was pretty good.
You suppose this was meant to be in the movie, or was this scene specifically shot for the credits? We may never know.
Well, there you have it, folks at home. A film so nightmarish that it carries the Dove seal of approval. I'll catch you next time when we discover the mysteries of Blackenstein.
Hello, young ones. If you like this video, please give it the big like and subscribe. If you want to see me cover more strange stuff, why not tell me in the comments below? Check out my other links in the description and perhaps throw me a couple dollars on Patreon. Special shout out to those who made this video possible: Tyson, Carmelita Jalapa, Gabriel Bishop, Travis Morris, John Redford, Ryan Creasy, Rain, Sarah Kelm, Zach Taylor, Drew Benson, Reckless Conventions, Caitlin Rep, Oliver Bolmer, Paul Holiday, and Abysme. Thank you all for your kind and loving support. Gooby bless.